Chapter 2. The Three Laws. Have you found your way since last episode?
What are you getting so excited about?
It's not. It's. No.
Wow. Good luck to you. From now on, we are about to compare English and Chinese a little bit, and find something. There will be 3 important laws, made by me.
This better be good.
This is good. This is very good. Take it.
It's a gift. You son of a bitch.
You are welcome. All right, let's start. Follow me. For example, the word water. In English, we say wat and ter, and these 2 syllables pronounced from our mouth become water. Now, how about the Chinese word?
水
Please listen carefully.
水
It only has 1 syllable. For example, the word umbrella. In English, we say bray, and la, and these 3 syllables pronounced from our mouth become umbrella. Now, how about the Chinese word?
伞
Please listen carefully, it only has 1 syllable.
伞
Furthermore, if we say in English, it begins to rain, you need to use an umbrella. How many syllables do we need to say? If we say it in Chinese,
下雨了，要打伞。
we only need to say 6 syllables. So, do you notice that? In Chinese, each character has only 1 syllable.
赵钱孙李周吴郑王冯陈楚卫蒋沈韩杨
You see, each character has only 1 syllable. This is the first law.
Each Chinese character possesses a single, solitary syllable.
it. Take it.
All right, let's continue. In English, we say, the flowers are very beautiful. In Chinese, we would say,
花很美，
this is flower,
花
this is very,
很
and this is beautiful.
美
We don't need the definite article, the. We don't need the verb, are or be. And we don't need to make the noun plural. Flower is,
花
and flowers is also.
花
We don't change this to this, or anything like that. Continuing on, in English, we say, she is very beautiful. I love her. In Chinese, we would say,
她很美，我爱她。
there are no changes like she to her,
她
is she or her, regardless of whether it is the subject or object, or wherever it is placed in the sentence. Moving on, in English, I have been learning Chinese for 2 years. He has been learning Chinese for 2 years. In Chinese,
我学了2年中文。他学了2年中文。
there are no changes like have or has, there is no doing, did, or done, or any forms like have been doing. Of course, to express different tenses, we use different methods, we'll talk about that later. Now, let's take a look at these characteristics in English. Nouns have singular and plural forms. Pronouns have subject and object forms. Verbs have first-person singular and third-person singular forms, as well as tense forms. And we also need to add auxiliary verbs, linking verbs, modal verbs, etc. But what about Chinese? In Chinese, each character is just 1 character, and it will never shapeshift in any way, shape, or form. This is the second law.
Chinese characters will never shapeshift in any way, shape, or form.
Take it.
Great! We have already learned the first and second law. I think we can try speaking Chinese now. Let's give it a shot. 1. I want to say to a girl, you are very beautiful. Now, let's replace the word you with the Chinese word
你
We don't need the word in Chinese, are. Then we'll replace the word Very. With the Chinese word.
很
And the word. Beautiful. With the Chinese word.
美
So what do we have now?
你很美。
Perfect. Just what we wanted. Since it's so easy, let's continue. 2. I have 1 cat and 2 dogs in my house. Now, let's replace the word I with the Chinese word
我
have with the Chinese word
有
1 cat with the Chinese word
一只猫。
and with the Chinese word
和
2 dogs with the Chinese word
两只狗。
and finally, in my house with the Chinese word.
在我家里。
So what do we have now?
我有一只猫和两只狗在我家里。
Very good. 3. I would like to have dumplings for dinner. Let's replace I with the Chinese word
我
would like with the Chinese word.
想
We don't need in Chinese. 2. Let's replace have with the Chinese word
吃
dumplings with the Chinese word.
饺子。
We don't need in Chinese. 4. Let's continue. Dinner with the Chinese word.
晚饭。
So what do we have now?
我想吃饺子晚饭。
Fantastic. Isn't it easy? However, there is a slight issue we should pay attention to. The second and third sentences we said in Chinese sound a little bit odd. Generally, Chinese people would say these 2 sentences as
我家里有一只猫和两只狗。
and
晚饭我想吃饺子。
oh. It seems that there are some differences in the placement of certain words in the sentences. But that's okay. Because your meaning has already been expressed very clearly.
So, what should I do if I don't want people to think that my Chinese sounds a bit odd?
Well, you're a perfectionist. I wish you the best. Since that's the case, maybe it's time to draft the 3rd law to decrease the odds.
All right, longer. Let's do it.
Now let's get to the 3rd law by using a few examples. For instance, if I want to express the following. English. I have been learning Chinese in China for 2 years. Chinese.
我在中国学了2年中文。
Let's analyze its core content. What is the core content? Well, you may consider it as the key words. It is the most important thing you want to say from what you have said. And in this sentence, it mainly expresses I learn Chinese. Let's temporarily ignore grammar aspects. The same applies to Chinese, where the core content is.
我学中文。
So, what do we notice? The core content of the Chinese and English sentences is the same, and the sentence structure is also the same, which is who, do, something. In other words, Americans say, I learn Chinese. Similarly, Chinese people also say, I learn Chinese. And it's not learn Chinese I or Chinese learn I. Now, let's imagine boldly. If an American says, I eat apple, how would a Chinese person say it? They would also say, I eat apple.
我吃苹果。
Yes, that's absolutely correct. Wow! Fall of hammer.
So, why do many Americans believe that Chinese people speak the opposite of us, that everything they say is the opposite of what we say?
Well, regarding Americans' perceptions, I don't object to it. Because, next, let's look at our example sentence. Besides the core content, we also have supplementary information. For example, in China, explains where the action of I learn Chinese took place, and 2 years explains the duration of the action. Now, what do we notice? Americans place the supplementary information like in China and 2 years after the core content. They first state the core content of the sentence. I learn Chinese, and then add in China and 2 years. as supplementary information. Let's now look at the Chinese sentence.
在中国，
Explains where the action of
我学中文
took place. And
2年，
explains the duration of the action. What do we notice here? Chinese people place
在中国
after
我
and
2年
after.
学
Well, it seems like Chinese people and Americans are a little bit opposite now. But it's not a, utterly, nor everything.
Nevertheless, it is an opposite. And answer my question. Why is that?
We are about to analyze it from the perspective of a Chinese person. Please try really hard to follow. First, let's arrange the core content.
我学中文
Now let's analyze.
在中国
Expresses a state. Who does it describe or whose state is it? It's.
我
So we put
在中国
after.
我
2年
Represents a duration of time. So, who or what does?
2年
Describe? It should describe an action, behavior, or a state that lasted for a period of time, right? So, it should be that the action of
学
lasted for.
2年
Alright, let's put
2年
after.
学
See, this is the logic of Chinese people's words. Are you following me?
Well, since 2 years is a duration of time, it can also describe a state, meaning a state that lasted for 2 years. Why don't we put 2 years after in China?
Great, you are a smart guy. Very smart. Now let's do it like this.
我在中国2年学了中文
Now, this sentence has a slight difference in meaning from our original intention. The meaning of this sentence is, I have been in China for 2 years, and I learned Chinese. We also need to add a comma here. Do you see the difference? Pay attention, what we want to express now is that the action of
学
lasted for 2 years, so to express this accurately,
2年
should be placed after.
学
Okay. Now let's summarize the general meaning of the third law. When speaking in English, the core content is usually expressed as who, do, something first, and then the supplementary details are arranged in order according to the rules or habits. In Chinese, the supplementary details are usually arranged before or after who, do, and something, or the other important words, according to the rules or habits. So, this difference creates an interesting phenomenon. When Americans learn Chinese, they will definitely use English habits to speak Chinese. For example, I have been learning Chinese in China for 2 years, becomes.
我学中文在中国2年
At the same time, when Chinese people learn English, they will definitely use Chinese habits to speak English, for example.
我在美国学了2年英语
Becomes, I in America learned 2 years English. Isn't it interesting? If it doesn't cause any misunderstandings, it is indeed interesting, but if it leads to misunderstandings, then it's not good. So, finding the right position, and get into the position. This is the third law.
The position does matter.
Take it, take it, take it, take it.
To be honest, the third law is actually about grammar. I'm just using some tricks to showcase the language Chinese people use in their daily lives, providing you with some shortcuts, hoping that you can gain more joy and also understand Chinese more quickly and efficiently.
So, does that count as cheating?
Well,
If you say so, sir.
all right. See you in the next episode.